Very good. Welcome everybody, and good day Maharaj Ji, good day everybody, and thank you Maharaj Ji for being here and again kind of being with us and talking to us. We are eagerly waiting for your talk on introduction to Bhagavad Gita. We will start the program in a minute. First, Suddhidanandaji Maharaj Ji will say a few words, and then you can start your lecture, Maharaj Ji. Suddhidanandaji Maharaj Ji.
Thank you very much, Nirmalda. Thank you very much to all of you. I, on the behalf of Ramakrishna Vedanta Society of Philippines, welcome you all. It is good to see that in spite of a busy schedule and you have taken time to attend. So thanks once again. I am surely you will get immense benefit while attending this class, and you will get lots from Maharaj. There is many things to learn. We need interpretation. It is easy to, Gita is available everywhere, but how to understand Gita, what it signifies, what is the meaning of this. That is why continuously we are having this talk by different eminent and learned monks, so that it will be easier for you to comprehend what it preaches and what it implies. And we are very grateful to Maharaj for kindly accepting. He is a very, very busy in his role. There are so many activities, but I am grateful that in spite of all his busy schedule, he has very kindly accepted our request. So I would like to request him, Maharaj, please, now the mic is yours. Thank you very much once again to you, Maharaj, for kindly accepting our request. Thank you, Maharaj. Please, the mic is yours.
Maharaj Ji, you are mute, so kindly get unmuted. Kindly.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Maharaj.
Yes. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. My pranams to revered Swami Suddhidanandaji, who has so affectionately invited me to this meeting where I have been asked to share my ideas on Bhagavad Gita. How do we understand Bhagavad Gita, or what is the main thing that Bhagavad Gita is concerned with? So, Bhagavad Gita is the most popular spiritual text of the Hindus, and it has been the most popular text among all the spiritual aspirants, not only in India, but in different parts of the world. And it mainly involves a dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna. Now we shall slowly get into the subject as to what this dialogue is concerned with. This great text, Bhagavad Gita, which has got 700 verses, it comes in the Mahabharata. And in the Mahabharata, there is Bhishma Parva. This Bhagavad Gita, the text comes in the Bhishma Parva of the Mahabharata. Mahabharata, all of you may be knowing already, definitely, that it is one of the two great epics of India. The other one is Ramayana, And these two epics, they have left such a deep imprint on the civilization of India and the culture of India. And it has also influenced other cultures and civilizations directly and indirectly. So, about Gita, before we get into it, we need to understand the background of this great teaching which was given by Krishna to Arjuna. It is this background that actually makes this text, this spiritual text, the teaching, very relevant and very living and very practical. Otherwise, often in spiritual realm, when we read the different books where we have so many prescriptions given by some spiritual teacher, it is okay. It is understandable and it can be grasped by serious spiritual aspirants. But when it comes to Bhagavad Gita, the beauty of this text is that this great teaching has been given in a very special and a unique setting. That setting makes this teaching burningly relevant and down to earth, and it can be connected with the lives of each one of us, no matter in which area of life we are living and we are active. So the setting is that we all know this great spiritual teaching has been given on the battlefield. So there are two groups of brothers, cousin brothers. They are at war with each other, over a kingdom. And now the tension grows and the tension comes to a boiling point. And now the only option left is a war to decide this issue about the kingdom. So the two sides are the Kauravas and the Pandavas. So this is an eternal struggle between dharma and adharma, between righteousness and unrighteousness. So the Kauravas, they represent the side of the unrighteous, and the Pandavas, they represent the side of dharma. So in this war between dharma and adharma, we have very interesting elements present here. And that is, on the side of adharma, there stands mainly Duryodhan. And on the side of dharma stands the five brothers, Pandavas, in which Arjun was one of them. Now, it is not possible for me to go into the details of this Mahabharata story, what brought these two groups of brothers to this climactic event of a warfare. So, in short, let me just tell only this much, that Kauravas, being on the side of the unrighteousness, they have been right from the beginning. They have been perpetrating all kinds of atrocities on the Pandavas. Even as small children. And this actually gave rise to a sense of jealousy and insecurity in the hearts of the Kauravas. And we know what happens when human being is gripped by the negative forces of jealousy and hatred. And driven by this jealousy and hatred, we find that Kauravas, they begin to conspire in so many ways to beat down the Pandavas. And this goes on in this way. Finally, it comes to a point where the Kauravas, they commit unthinkable things on the Pandavas. and finally they come on the battlefield. Now, on the battlefield, what happened? When Arjun came to the battlefield, he had come with full resolution and determination that he is going to fight the Kauravas. We should remember that Arjun is a great warrior, he is a Kshatriya. His dharma, or his the duty, is to fight. A Kshatriya's duty is to fight. And he comes to the battlefield fully resolved and fully confident to straight away take on the opponents. And as he comes at the center of the battlefield, the scene is very beautiful. You can just imagine two great armies facing each other. And now Arjuna is entering the center of the battlefield, and Krishna is actually driving the chariot of Arjuna. And Arjuna is telling Krishna, "Oh Krishna, take my chariot to the center of the battlefield and let me see these people who are so eager to fight us. Who are these people who want to fight us? Let me just go and see them. Let me have a look at them." Saying so, Sri Krishna takes Arjun's chariot and takes it to the center of the battlefield, and then standing there on the chariot, this great warrior, I should not say great, he was the greatest warrior of his time, brave, and this heroic Arjun standing there at the center of the battlefield. Now, when he looked at his opponents, something very interesting happened. What happened? This person who had come to the battlefield with a clear resolution and confidence and determination to fight, all of a sudden he is gripped by a sense of despondency. All of a sudden he is overcome by a emotion of infatuation. What happened? When he looked at the other side, he found that on the other side is standing all his so-called blood relatives, his uncles and brothers and cousin brothers and grandfathers and all the different relatives. And seeing them, suddenly Arjun is overcome by moha. In Sanskrit, there is a beautiful term called moha. Moha means infatuation. Now see, the beauty of Bhagavad Gita is that what Arjuna is going through is something which every individual person in this world undergoes sometime or the other, especially in the family setting. We as human beings, we often get gripped by these negative emotions of infatuation, and Arjuna, overcome by this moha, suddenly his whole body begins to tremble. He is now perspiring. His mouth is becoming dry. And he is completely overpowered by a sense of weakness to such an extent that he keeps his bow and arrow down and he sits down on the chariot, totally confused about what to do and what is his duty. Now, this is the situation and this is the background in which this great teaching is given to Arjuna. In this confused state of mind where the hero of this whole event, who is the hero? Arjuna is the hero here. But this hero is now overcome by the emotion of infatuation and weakness and is completely overpowered by delusion and confusion. Now, what he needs is, he needs the help of a greater mind, a mind which can see the truth, a universal mind which understands the human problem, which understands why human beings get overpowered by infatuation and weakness, which understands what is the cause of weakness in human beings, and who can prescribe the right kind of solution and the medicine for this ailment, the psychological ailment. And that great doctor, that great universal doctor, that great universal mind which knows the truth, which lives the truth, which does not live in fancy, but which lives in truth, that great universal mind is Bhagavan Shri Krishna.
It looks like that there is some internet problem. There is no sound.
Yeah.
Let us do one thing. In the meantime, I would request Dr. Ranjana Bhattacharya to sing a devotional song, and I think by that time it will be okay. Dr. Bhattacharya, if you can.
Yes, I'll sing a song. I'll sing a devotional song, which is a Tagore song. It means that, Mother, I have come to you with hope to receive your love and blessings. Accept me as I am and don't turn me away. No one likes the poor and oppressed. I seek solace, Divine Mother, in this world full of darkness. So I'll sing this song. বড় আশা করে এসেছি তো কাছে ডেকে দাও, ফিরায়ো না জননী, বড় আশা করে এসেছি তো কাছে ডেকে দাও। হীনহীনে কেহ চাহে না, তুমি তারে রাখিবে জানি গো। আর আমি যে কিছু চাহিনে, চরণ তলে বসে থাকি। আর আমি যে কিছু চাহিনে, জননী বলে শুধু ডাকিব। তুমি না রাখিলে গৃহ আর পাইব কোথায়? কেঁদে কেঁদে কোথা বেড়াবো, যে তমসুখন ঘোরা গহন রজনী, বড় আশা করে এসেছি তো কাছে ডেকে দাও।
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Maharaji, we can hear. Just to fill in the gap, Dr. Bhattacharya.
Yes.
So please,
I'm sorry, there was some problem on my side.
Yes. Kindly restart your lecture. Kindly.
Yes.
Okay.
So we can
And
go ahead.
thank you, Dr. Bhattacharya.
Yes. So I was saying that how Arjuna, who was determined to come and fight, suddenly he becomes overpowered by this infatuation, seeing his near and dear ones, his relatives, and is confused. Now is required, what he requires is a universal mind which can help him to come out of this confusion. And that great universal mind is the mind of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. In Sri Krishna, we find a person who knows the truth, who lives in reality and not in fancy. Now, these are the two very important things. We are not in touch with reality. And what we think to be is real is actually something which is questionable. So, it is only in a hypnotized state of mind that we become weak in life. Arjuna was hypnotized. In a hypnotized state of mind, he forgot his own duty, what he was supposed to do. Now, he needs a great teacher, a great mind who can help him to become dehypnotized. So I always tell the devotees that Gita is the book meant to dehypnotize our own self. Arjun is actually representing us. He represents me and you, all of us. We in a family set up, living in a society, we always face such situations where we are overcome by the emotions of weaknesses and attachments, and we become infatuated and we become hypnotized. So Gita is that great book, which is a book which is meant to dehypnotize our own self. Swami Vivekananda was very much fond of this term of hypnotizing and dehypnotizing. He would say that we are already hypnotized. What we need to do is dehypnotize ourselves. So Gita is that great book which is actually meant for dehypnotizing our own self. So what does Gita actually teach us? You see, Gita is a science of human. Only when we don't know our own true nature in depth, it is only then that we are overcome by all these weakening emotions and weakening feelings. So Gita, Sri Krishna, in the Gita, he gives the teachings of Vedanta, and he tells us that what is our true nature. What is the true nature of the man? What is the true nature of the woman? It is only when we are not in touch with reality that we tend to become hypnotized and totally weaken the human situations. Now, Bhagavad Gita, it was not very popular before Sri Shankaracharya's advent. Swami Vivekananda says, before the advent of Bhagwan Sri Shankaracharya, this book was not very popular. It is Shankaracharya who made this book popular in India first. Swami Vivekananda says the greatest work this great teacher, Sri Shankaracharya, has done is to make this Gita popular. Earlier, it was just being studied by monks here and there in the monasteries. But it is Sri Shankaracharya who, by writing his immortal commentary on the Gita, he made this Gita popular among the people. So that is a very important point. But today, Gita is considered to be the most important spiritual text of the Hindus, and it also is the very basis of India's culture and civilization. This white Catholic civilization and Indian culture open to different ideas, which allows so much of variety. That thought system you can see in the Bhagavad Gita. Now, as I said, what happened to Arjun when he came to the battlefield? He was confused about his what not to. And Krishna comes and gives beautiful teaching, by which his confusion. 2 verses right beginning, that is in the 2nd chapter, of the Bhagavad Gita, Swami Vivekananda says that you have understood the spirit of these 2 verses. You have understood the whole of Gita. What are these verses? It comes in the 2nd chapter. Now, when Arjun came in this way to the battlefield to fight, but instead of standing up and fighting, what he does, talks about renouncing everything and going away into the forest. He talks about making peace with the opponent. He talks all big things. And usually, if you just look at what Arjuna was saying, it may appear to be very attractive. It may appear to be very, very pious for Arjuna to speak like this. He is talking about making peace. But Sri Krishna could see through the weakness which was working in Arjun's mind. All this big talk of peace and big talk of, say, not fighting and renouncing everything, it was all rooted in weakness. So Krishna beautifully tells him, Krishna, instead of any other teacher would have said, oh, you are talking all big things, so nice. But Krishna was not a person to be fooled. Krishna very beautifully says, what does he say? He straight away gives a strong scolding to Arjuna. And what is that language? Is very beautiful. In Sanskrit, Sri Krishna says to Arjuna, Utatsva kashmalamidam vishame samupastitam anaryam ajushtam asvargyam akirtikaram Arjuna. What does it mean? Krishna says, Utatsva kashmalamidam vishame samupastitam. From where has this weakness come into you in this critical juncture of the warfare? Krishna is scolding Arjuna. What has happened to you, Arjuna? How is that? From where has this weakness got into you at this very critical juncture? And all these things which you are talking, Krishna is saying, Anaryam, Ajushtam, Asvargyam, Akirtikaram Arjuna. All these things that you are talking, and whatever you are displaying, the weakness which you are displaying, this is all Akirtikaram, means it is going to bring infamy to you, and this doesn't befit an Aryan. You are an Aryaputra, you are a brave man, and this doesn't befit you. That is a beautiful sentiment which is conveyed by Krishna. And that is also a way to actually awaken a person who is steeped in weakness, to tell him that this doesn't befit you. There is something great inside you. You can do great things, and you are behaving in this manner. So this is the kind of a scolding which Krishna gives to Arjuna. Utatsva kashmaramidam vishame samupastitam anaryam ajushtam asvargyam akirtikaram Arjuna. Then comes a very beautiful statement. Krishna says, Klaibyam masmagama partha naitat vayupapadyate shudram hridaya daurbalyam yaktotishta parantaha. He says, Klaibyam masmagama partha. Hey Partha, hey Arjun, don't behave like a eunuch. This is the strong word which Krishna uses for Arjuna. Don't behave like a eunuch. Klaibyam masmagama partha. Naitat tvayupapadyate. This doesn't befit you. You are a brave warrior and you're behaving like a weak eunuch. So Klaibyam masmagama partha. Naitat tvayupapadyate. Shudram hridaya daurpalyam tyaktva uttishtha. Stand up, giving up this weakness of your heart. By giving up your weakness of your heart, stand up and fight the battle. But this is, Swami Vivekananda says that if you understand the spirit of these two verses, you have understood the spirit of Bhagavad Gita. Now, what is the spirit of Bhagavad Gita? The spirit of Bhagavad Gita is in one word. It is manliness. To infuse manliness in us. To remove all the weaknesses from the human system. Now, this was one theme which was very favorite of Swami Vivekananda. Swamiji was the greatest preacher in the modern times of manliness. He wanted to awaken the spirit of manliness in everybody. As common human beings working in different areas, we have to face different situations where often we tend to become weak owing to one reason or the other. But if we have the right kind of philosophy in our life, and if we really are in connection with the reality, we will be able to face all the situations in a very manly manner. This is what actually Bhagavad Gita teaches to all of us, and which was also the spirit with which Swami Vivekananda had preached Vedanta all over the world. So, we find that Krishna awakens this manliness in Arjuna. Arjuna, who was confused and infused with weakness and totally infatuated, gripped by moha. This very Arjuna, after having got the right kind of guidance from Krishna towards the end, what was his expression? What was his final outcome of having learned all these things from from Krishna? That was towards the end. Arjun says, Nashto moha smritir labdha vat prasadad maya chuta sthitosmi gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava. Arjun says towards the end of the Bhagavad Gita, all my delusion has gone. Nashto moha smritir labdha, and I have got back my memory. I had forgotten certain things, and what I had forgotten, that I have got back. Ashto moha smritir labdha vat prasadat maya chuta. By your grace, I have got back my memory, and my confusion is totally gone. Now you tell me what I have to do, and I will do. I will fight these enemies. So you see, this is what Gita is going to do to all of us. We as human beings, ordinary human beings, often we become weak in different human situations. And if we really adopt the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, we also will be able to fight the battle of this life bravely and in a manly manner. So this is the one beautiful thing that Bhagavad Gita keeps before all of us. And the most important thing is the setting in which this great teaching has been given to Arjuna. Arjuna is a representative of you and me, because we are the people who are facing this battlefield of life, and often we are also gripped and overpowered by these base emotions of weakness and infatuation. And how to overcome this, delusion, and face the challenges of life, that is what Bhagavad Gita is going to teach us. And that is the great relevance of Sri Krishna's teaching to all of us. Now, in the Bhagavad Gita, another beautiful thing is that in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells us what is the true nature of the human being. It is because we are not connected with our own true self. It is only because of that we become overcome by weaknesses in life. It is this disconnection with reality which makes the human beings weak. When we are in touch with the reality, you will see that there cannot be anything under the sun which can make the human beings weak. So Krishna says in the Gita, Yad labdhva chaparam labham manyate nadhikam tatah yasmin sthito na dukkhena gurunapi vicharyate. Krishna says, this attainment, what is this attainment? The attainment of the knowledge of one's own true self. It is only because we don't know our own true self that we are in a state of confusion. So Gita is the science of one's own true self. It is the science of human being in depth. Presently, we are not understanding ourselves in depth. We are understanding ourselves only on the surface as somebody having a body, somebody being a man or a woman, and so and so. But Gita presents to us that reality which is our true nature. It is only by becoming in touch with that we become truly free from all the weaknesses and delusion and infatuation with which usually we get gripped. And the very idea of God, this is another very beautiful concept. When we talk about this concept of God, you will see that often we have different kinds of ideas about God. We think that God is this and that. Actually, the term God refers to nothing else but one's own true self, which is referred to in the Vedanta literature as the Atman. You may look upon the Atman as in a particular form, that doesn't matter. But actually what it refers to is the Atman, the true nature of the man, the true nature of the woman. This is what Bhagavad Gita keeps. A God which is there in our own hearts and which can be experienced and which is our own true self. Unlike the Semitic religions, where the concept of God is extra cosmic. God is somewhere up in the sky, beyond the seven heavens, beyond the clouds. That kind of conception which we have about the God in Semitic religions, in the Vedic religion, in the Bhagavad Gita, the God is not somewhere up in the sky, but the God is our own self, the true self, the Atman. So this is the kind of divinity which Krishna points at, which has to be realized and experienced. And that way to realize is what is being kept in the Bhagavad Gita. A very important point which comes right in the beginning, before even the Bhagavad Gita starts. Before the Bhagavad Gita starts, there comes Gita Dhyana Shlokas. In the Gita Dhyana Shlokas, there are beautiful description about what actually Gita contains. In fact, that itself can be taken as a good introduction to Bhagavad Gita. So in the Gita Dhyana Shloka, right in the beginning, there comes a beautiful verse where the very central point of Bhagavad Gita is presented. What is the central point? In that verse it says, Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharata. Then it says, what is this Bhagavad Gita? Advaitamrita Varshini. Bhagavad Gita, the teachings of Bhagavan Sri Krishna is Advaitamrita Varshini. It is that which showers the nectar of the knowledge of Advaita. That is a most beautiful point. Bhagavad Gita is what? Advaitamrita Varshini. And there Bhagavad Gita is addressed as mother. Bhagavad Gita is looked upon as a mother, just like a mother would want the best for her children. Similarly, Bhagavad Gita wants the best things for you and me. And the best thing that we can have in life is the knowledge of Advaita. And then it says, Advaitamrita Varshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvam Anusandadhami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshani. Bhagavad Gita is referred to as Bhavadveshi. Bhavadveshi means that which puts an end to all the sufferings that we have in human life, which puts an end to this unbroken cycle of birth and death. Bhavat means this transmigratory cycle, the transmigratory cycle of birth and death that is put to an end by this great teaching of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. So, the central characteristic of Sri Krishna's teaching is that it is that one which showers the nectar of Advaita. Nectar of Advaita means telling us the true nature of the man, which is Atman. There is nothing existing apart from the Atman. And when we have the knowledge of this Atman, it completely put to an end all the sufferings and all the, what should I call, the bondages. And this transmigratory existence comes to an end. So that's why in human life, we all see that, usually speaking, we find that human beings are gripped by two things, shoka and moha. Shoka means sorrow. Moha means confusion and delusion. Every human being, if you see, is gripped by shoka and moha. Sadness, moroseness, misery, suffering, and delusion. We are deluded. We are all shoka moha grasta. So, what does Bhagavad Gita do? Bhagavad Gita puts an end to this shoka and moha. Shoka moha nivritti is the function of this great text of Bhagavad Gita. And what? Paramananda prapti. This Bhagavad Gita shows us the way to attain Param Ananda, the great bliss, the great joy. So in this way, we find that Bhagavad Gita is essentially a text which shows us the way to get connected with our own reality as the Atman, which alone puts an end to shoka and moha, sufferings and misery in life, and also the delusion, and also which makes us experience Param Ananda, the supreme bliss, and the way to experience this supreme bliss. So that's why all the students of Bhagavad Gita, you might have noted, when we usually chant Bhagavad Gita, towards the end of every chapter, there comes the description. Bhagavad Gita is described as Brahma Vidya. It is almost equated with the Upanishads, and it is also described as Yoga Shastra. Three things. Bhagavad Gita is what? Brahma Vidya. It is the science of Brahman. It is Atma Vidya. It is the science of Atman. And what? It is Upanishad. It is equated with Upanishad. Actually speaking, Upanishads are the supreme authority when it comes to the supreme reality. The supreme reality is presented in the Upanishads. Bhagavad Gita is also almost equated with the Upanishads. That is the great, very high status which Bhagavad Gita has got in our tradition. And it is also an Yoga Shastra. Yoga Shastra means which shows us the way how to experience this Atman. Yoga means the way to attain this supreme Atman and supreme reality. So in this way we find that Bhagavad Gita is a text which concerns with Brahma Vidya and also the way to attain that Brahman. Finally, one more thing I shall just keep before all of you, and that is, this was the first great attempt to harmonize the different strands of thoughts existing in the Vedic system of thought. Sri Krishna was the first great teacher of harmony. In fact, he harmonized all the different paths existing during his time. So in Bhagavad Gita, we find a great harmonizing text, a text which synthesizes all the different paths and shows us that all these different paths finally leads us to the same truth. So what Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna says now in our modern times, Joto Mot Toto Pot, there are so many ways to reach the same reality. This was long back told by Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. What Sri Ramakrishna has told is not a new teaching, but he has come to remind us because we forgot this truth. This truth was first kept in the Vedas itself. In fact, not Sri Krishna. We have to go back to Rig Veda itself. In the Rig Veda itself, this teaching was given. Ekam Sat Vipra Bahudha Vadanti. That itself is a statement which shows that the supreme truth can be realized and which can be reached in so many ways. And Bhagavan Sri Krishna once again reiterates it in his Bhagavad Gita. And in the modern times, we find Sri Ramakrishna once again coming and reminding us and showing it in his own life by his own demonstrations. So, in this way, we find, in short, before I just wind up, I wanted to keep this before you, that Bhagavad Gita, essentially, it deals with how to lead a life being connected with the reality. It is very practical. That's why the setting in which Sri Krishna's teaching was given to Arjuna, it makes Sri Krishna's teaching very living and practical. It is workable. It can be worked out by each one of us. And the secret lies in leading a life of detachment and selflessness. The whole secret of Bhagavad Gita you will find in one word, and that is unselfishness and detachment. When if one succeeds in leading a life, unselfish life, and a detached life, one can slowly, no matter whether one is a householder or whether one is a sannyasi, one will be able to slowly move towards the supreme reality. This is what Bhagavad Gita, in short, keeps before all of us. If you have any questions, you can just ask.
Thank you very much, Maharaj Ji. for your very illuminating and profound lecture. So we have time for one or two questions. So please quickly, if you have got some clarification to seek or something to ask, please. Mr. Mohan, P.R. Mohan, are you interested to ask something? Or any other person? Some sound is coming, so all of us need to be muted, excepting the Mohanji. Yes, please ask your question.
Pranam Maharaj, how do we realize that we have attained the true self? How does it manifest itself in us?
If you have realized your true self, there will be a radical transformation in your understanding about yourself. Number one, presently that idea that we have that I means so and so, this undergoes a radical transformation. You will understand yourself to be the witness of this and not this. Secondly, when we realize the supreme reality, our hearts will become desireless. There won't be any desires left in our heart. Our heart will become pure. We will be filled with an unspeakable sense of peace and joy, a peace which nothing can disturb. You will begin to radiate that peace and joy around you. And you will be able to love everyone equally. Not only one person or two persons. Your love, your concern, your sympathies will be for the entire universe, because you will have become one with the entire universe. These are all the yardsticks to measure or to understand whether one has come in touch with the reality.
Maharaj ji, is there a method for getting to that point?
Pardon, can you just repeat?
Is there a method or a methodology to get to that point?
Yes. That method is what is known as yoga. Yoga is that way of life, a way of life which involves many practices. And the central point of that practice is unselfishness and detachment. The more and more we begin to lead a life rooted in detachment and unselfishness, the more and more we begin to move towards this great experience which you have referred to.
Thank you, Maharaj ji.
I think we can accommodate one more question. Aparna ji, do you have anything to say or any clarification to seek?
No, but it's a beautiful lecture, Maharaj ji. Thank you for talking to on Bhagavad Gita. It's lot on Bhagavad Gita. We are not practicing that much, so we are a very lay person. Don't have any questions, but we'll definitely like to listen lectures on Bhagavad Gita. Hope
Can I
one
say
day.
a word?
Yeah.
That you said that we are all lay persons. Sri Krishna would not agree with your point.
Because
Sri
Maharaj
Krishna would
ji,
say, what is lay person and what is a monk? We are all human beings. And as human beings, Krishna would say that everybody should be practicing yoga. Yoga means not asanas. Yoga is a way of life, It is an all-comprehensive philosophy of life. One's life has to be based on the principles of yoga. So there's nothing like layperson or a monk. It is meant for all of us.
Yeah, because we listen every Sunday, Nirmal ji arrange lectures, we listen lecture. But why I'm saying layperson? Because there is no any more light of question. We just follow like group, and yeah. One day I am hoping I will have some good question, and maybe I will able to have that status. Thank you, Maharaji, but it's very wonderful lecture. Thank you.
And Maharaji, we don't have enough words to thank you enough. But Dr. Bhattacharya, do you have any other devotional song? So Maharaji might not be able to hear your song. So if you want to sing, we have got another 5 minutes left. So
Yes.
Okay.
I will sing Ramakrishna Sharanam.
Okay.
Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharane Prabhu, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharane Prabhu Kripa hi kevalam, Kripa hi kevalam, Kripa hi kevalam, Sharane Jai Jai Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharane Sharanagatoham, 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 Sharane Jai Jai Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharane Namo Sri Gurave, Namo Sri Gurave, Namo Sri Gurave, Namo Namo Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharane Ma Sharoda Sharanam, Ma Sharoda Sharanam, Ma Sharoda Sharanam, Sharane Shamiji Sharanam, Shamiji Sharanam, Shamiji Sharanam, Sharane Gurave Sharanam, Gurave Sharanam, Gurave Sharanam, Sharane Jai Jai Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharane Prabhu Kripa hi kevalam, Kripa hi kevalam, Kripa hi kevalam, Sharane Jai Jai Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Ram Krishna Sharanam, Sharane.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bhattacharya, for your beautiful devotional song. We are so much grateful to Suddhidanandaji Maharaj ji for his profound lecture, and we hope that in future also he will kindly oblige us by similar lectures either on Gita or other spiritual topic of importance. So we look forward to hearing you. Maharaji, Dhanuji, you wanted to say something?
No, I also just wanted to thank him for a very enriching and very beautiful talk. I hear his lecture online also. He speaks very impressively. I admire his lecture very, very much. So he speaks very well.
Maharaj, actually, I'm not at all comfortable with this online talks.
But you speak very well. You see, last time I spoke Ramakrishna after hearing you only. Based on your talk, I gave a talk, but it was not impressive. But it was entirely based on your talk. Yes.
I personally, I don't feel comfortable talking online. Actually, I don't know why. I'm not at all comfortable. I'm just expressing my this one.
No. But you see, this talk is we are transmitting this in the Facebook live transmission is going on. It will be in the YouTube, and now when we are pursuing the YouTube, there are many people are watching it now also. So yes, slowly there will be a response. I'm sure about it. I'm damn, because when we look at the views, 200 now views are less, but in due, I think more and more views we will get. I'm so sure. So I just wanted to thank you very much. You speak to me. What I hear, you speak very well, very well. So I'm very thankful to you for kindly accepting our request. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Maharaj, because of this online lectures, now I am in USA, but I can able to listen your lecture. That is the greatness of this media.
Yes.
And your Mayavati lecture was also excellent. We were benefited very much by your Mayavati lecture. So I end the program here. So please give me 30 seconds. I'll be the last person to leave. So please give me 30 seconds of silence.